What's up, guys? I know this is a slightly different setup than usual, and really, I've started a new structure on this channel. You'll see it play out over the next few weeks, but it looks like Monday is going to be a little recap of everything that's happened during the weekend, any notable news that's happened, just to keep our spirits up and also potentially to educate ourselves with what's going on if you've wanted to zone out over the weekend, which many of us do. So if you are someone who doesn't want to pay attention to crypto in the weekend, you want your time back with your family, then just tune in to these videos on Mondays and I'll update you on things that have happened and then share my thoughts on what those things are. So without further ado, let's get into the news. So the first piece of news that I'm seeing here is that it's not really news for us, right? It's something that we understand happens. Like, we see this all the time. But Montenegro, the Prime Minister of Montenegro, has basically been seen in this picture with Brad Garlinghouse, and it looks like James Wallace there, who's next to him. Yes, that is him. James Wallace is the VP of Central Bank Cooperation. And we obviously know who Brad Garlinghouse is. So the main thing that we see here, which we see for all of the places that we look and all of these announcements, they're just integrating everywhere. Ripple have masterfully navigated their way through all of these countries and getting in with these top people, getting Rosie Rios, you know how all that's involved. It's just genius level integration. And they are there as businessmen, right? They're not there as crypto enthusiasts. While they are crypto enthusiasts, they're making these moves with the big players. You know, they're dressing like the big players. They're getting big players from the traditional financial system, putting them into Ripple and saying, look, this is the natural progression of the way things are going. And of course, Montenegro is like, this sounds great, actually. One thing I did find interesting is that Montenegro were so buddy-buddy with Ripple when they could potentially quite easily use XLM or Stellar technology for their own country, because they are quite a small country. However, it does seem that James Wallace being there, the VP of Central Bank Cooperation, that Montenegro do in fact have a central bank. So they're not an unbanked nation. They are a small nation, but not unbanked. So I guess that's where Ripple sweep in and try to save the day. One thing you'll see here is that quite interesting. I'm just going to highlight it here. The Prime Minister let it slip in this conversation that the country had already launched the digital currency pilot with the help of Ripple, right? So they already did the pilot and he wasn't supposed to say it. So here's what I'm gathering from that. If he wasn't supposed to say that they had the pilot, how many countries have not said that they've done a pilot with Ripple? How many countries have held that close and not shared it? Yes, we see Ukraine testing out Stellar. They've announced that. They didn't announce the Ripple pilot that they would have done. But anyway, if he let it slip, how many haven't let it slip? And how many have done the pilots already with Ripple and simply are just keeping it quiet? That's what I want you to think about. Let's get into the next piece of news. So this piece of news is about the government in South Korea basically saying that they are going to track all crypto transactions, right? And yeah, you can go down. Again, none of this is kind of new news or anything. It's just kind of like, yes, we know the currencies are programmable. But I was part of a small little webinar that was happening about the digital pound, and none other than James Wallace, the guy I was talking about just earlier, the VP of Central Bank Cooperation, was speaking at the digital pound event. He was the only person in that panel that was representing a token, basically, a company with a token. That was Ripple and XRP. So if that wasn't a signal enough that the digital pound is going to be run using the XRP ledger, I don't know what is. But anyway, he was asked to talk about the benefits of having programmable currency. The benefits, right? And this is why I'm not so sure that Ripple are actually the good guys. We're just taking advantage of what Ripple have to offer. But he essentially said one of the main benefits is that if you have a currency that you can program and you can say, ultimately you can say where people can spend it and where they can't. So if we're giving people money, he said this, if we're giving people money, we don't want them spending it on gambling. I wonder what else falls into gambling from the view of the bank. Yes, that's right, crypto. But if we want them to spend their money in a certain place, we can actually program the money to do that. And this is exactly what I've been saying. The crazy thing about this is that James Wallace was actually saying all of this as a positive. And the chat from within it, from that small group, was just like, well, what if they program it for bad? Why do you think programming is a good thing? And yes, it was brought up in that panel that there's lots of good things that you can get from programming the money. It's tremendous. It helps. Like, for example, if you wanted to pay suppliers, as soon as you made a sale on a product, they could just be distributed instantly, right? This is just an instant payment. There's no payment processing to happen. You don't have to wait for a month or 2 months. Jimmy Valley said it fantastically in the interview that we had in the energy sector, where you basically have this whole process from getting the oil out of the ground to the way it's filtered and processed throughout the whole system. Usually takes 60 to 90 days to process the payments for all the vendors along the way. But this, having it programmable, would just disperse all the payments to whoever needs it instantaneously. So yes, there are benefits, but James Wallace's examples were a bit worrying. And so this isn't surprising to me that South Korea is doing this. It's just part of this new CBDC world. All the money will be programmable. We just have to hope that those in charge, and potentially if we become the ones in charge as the new wealthy people in the world, that we can actually do something good with it, choosing the white pill, as Jimmy Valley said, over the black pill. Then next we have the whole idea that New York is basically going to be saying, yes, you can pay us in crypto for fines like taxes and parking fines and all of that stuff. Yes, you can pay us in crypto. All I want you to think when you see this is essentially, why? Why are they doing this? They're doing it because they know what cryptocurrency is going to do for them in the future. They're positioning themselves to make them most readily available to accept crypto from all avenues. Even when they're accumulating themselves with their own money, they're trying to get it from everywhere else as well. They're trying to get us to give them their crypto. So I would say if you're paying a parking fine, pay a parking fine in New York with worthless currency like the US dollar. Okay, don't give your crypto away for a fine. It might be a cool little thing, but those who think it's a cool little thing are the ones who are going to get wrecked because they're actually weakening their power by paying these fines like that. So I would not do that. Another interesting thing was that the White House came out with another statement about the whole roadmap to mitigate cryptocurrency risk. It was essentially everything you would expect, nothing juicy in here, really. We need greater transparency, we need more regulation, we need all of that. Essentially everything. I think the title of this piece of news was more extreme than the actual contents. None of this is surprising to us being in this space. Now, I'm going to get to the last one because the last one's actually really important. And this whole thing was to do with Elizabeth Warren. Now, she's a senator in the US government, and she was crazy collusion, right? You know, we talk about how these people all at the top are kind of talking with each other, making sure they're all in on it and stuff like that. This is just confirmation of that, and I want to play the audio to you here. Have a listen.
All right, a bombshell report tonight about how Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and her office coordinated testimony with the Security and Exchange Commission ahead of a Senate hearing. The Heritage Foundation Oversight Project, of which I'm associated, through a FOIA request, obtained emails from Warren's office to the office of Chairman Gary Gensler 2 days before his Senate testimony back in September of 2021. The email from Warren's economic policy advisor includes a list of questions. Get this, a list of questions that Senator Warren planned to ask, along with suggested answers for the chairman of the SEC. The advisor also wrote, quote, "Let me know if you're okay with the questions as currently written." 2 days later, she sent a follow-up, quote, "Let me know if it's looking like the chair has any issue with the framing of the questions. Definitely don't want to put him in a tough spot," end quote. And it appears the chairman didn't have any issue with these questions because Senator Warren asked almost verbatim from the email. Check this out.
Chair Gensler, advocates say crypto markets are all about financial inclusion, but the people who are most economically vulnerable are the ones who are most likely to have to withdraw their money the fastest when the market drops. Does this sound like the path to financial inclusion to you?
Joining me now is Mike Davis.
Okay, do I need to say much more? This is crazy. These people are all talking. It's like Gary Gensler runs the show and everyone is scared of him. Everyone's scared of what he can do to their career almost. And he's just got them all under his little finger, you know? He can do anything he wants. They're so worried about what he's going to say or do to them that they are literally giving him the questions and the answers and making sure that he's okay with these questions. Their whole job is to make sure that he's given the hard questions so that he can give answers on behalf of the SEC to make sure that the people are protected. But this is not protecting the people. This is protecting the individuals within the whole institution. So I just thought that was absolutely crazy, but just confirms all the things we know. And how big is this actually happening over the whole institution, right? All the institutions around the world, all the central banks, all the governments around the world. If this is happening in the US, it's happening everywhere else. So we have to position ourselves properly in the assets for the new system, which we have every confirmation that we could think of and hope for, that it's going to be run on XRP technology, Ripple technology, Stellar technology, and XDC technology. Those X assets are how this is all going to run. If you haven't pieced together all the information of how this whole new system is going to run, I urge you to go and watch my video. And in this video, I actually explain how all of these ISO tokens link with each other and how these companies are all integrated within each other. I'm going to play the first clip of it, but make sure you click the I in the top right-hand side of this video to go and watch that video in full and let me know what you think in the comments.
Crazy for thinking these digital assets are going to explode when the new financial system comes. So let me explain it in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
And you have to watch the rest later. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But that video is great. Go and watch it over there. I'll actually put the video up in this area as well, so you can just click it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Every Monday, I'll be doing them like this. Every Tuesday, there will be a podcast. Maybe not next Tuesday, but tomorrow there is a podcast coming out with Connor Kenny. So good. Make sure you put your notifications on for that. Like this video if you like this format. Stay emotionless out there, and I'll see you in the next one.